Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Monster Truck Evolution series, where I'll be showing you guys the evolution of a lot of your favorite Monster Jam and Monster Trucks. Now, this episode is going to be especially dedicated, episode 5, to the one and only driver, one of the best drivers in the sport, Tom Meents, with his trucks that he's driven in the past. We are not going to have we're not going to have Bulldozer or Monster Patrol on this list because they were not Meents trucks officially. They were, they did have a front engine, but they were not driven for that long or were not as known for Tom Meents. So we're going to start off with the one and only Goldberg. This one had two different paint schemes, which I will get into the second one in a minute or so. But this is the first ever truck that Tom Meents debuted with his own identity behind it, kinda, sort of. It was a contract with WCW and with the wrestler Goldberg, of course. That's why the truck is named Goldberg. It was a really special truck. He did win a World Finals Racing, I believe, and also a Freestyle Championship with this truck. It was really, really cool and definitely just a shocker when it debuted. It was not, no one really expected to see it, of course. And then also at World Finals, he debuted a kind of light-colored Goldberg. At least he didn't really debut it because no one really knew about it up until nowadays, where like everyone kind of caught up with him and said, "Oh wow, he did actually have a second paint scheme." For some reason, he had a very, very light paint scheme version of Goldberg, and this is the one. I would say this is more like a military-looking brownish, like really light brown. I don't know, it looks like a military truck. I don't know why, but like it's kind of cool with the who's next on the front with the two lights on the front. The flame, like not flame, but I don't know what you would call those lines on there. And it says Goldberg on the side. This was definitely one of the most competitive trucks back in the day. This was the truck to look out for. Because Tom Meents he won so many races with this truck. It was bonkers. Like, I don't know how many races he's won. There's probably like a count somewhere where someone knows about how many races he's won. But he has won so many races in Goldberg. It was insane. He dominated with this truck, and I'm kind of sad that it's gone, but not really. It wasn't his full identity, because it was from Goldberg, the wrestler himself, and here is the truck that he kind of switched to his own identity, but also kind of not, because it was kind of a copycat version of Goldberg, just with Tom Meents' face on the back, and says Team Meents. This is the next truck, Team Meents. It was basically the exact same paint scheme and whatever as Goldberg, same colors. Not really too memorable. I would say a lot of people know about Team Meents. Of course, it was made in diecast last year by Spin Master, but it's not. No one really. I don't think anyone really liked the truck too much. Team Meents. Goldberg was really liked, but Team Meents not so much. I don't really know how to feel about this truck. It was just kind of like the weird, odd one out, I would say. I don't know. It was pretty cool, I guess, because I think he won a World Finals Championship in this one as well, so that was also kind of cool, I guess. But not too long after he had Team Meents, he wanted to have his own true identity, which was not in any circumstances related to the Goldberg truck. He didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. So the next year after he debuted this one, I think he came up with the Maximum Destruction and debuted it at a show. This was an insane truck. No one really expected Tom to actually debut this truck. It was definitely, I would say, Goldberg was like a last minute kind of like deal where they kind of quickly made the truck. But Maximum Destruction was really thought out, and I feel like it was just a really cool, insane truck. This truck, at least, of course, lasted for a long, long, long time. This truck was definitely the truck to look out for back in the day. It was the truck that I grew up watching. It was the first ever Team Meents truck that I watched on television, on TV, whatever you want to call it. Maximum Destruction definitely left a big mark in the industry of Monster Jam, and it was he was insane on this truck. It was his truck. which also not only did Tom Meents drive it, but also I think Neil Elliott drove Maximum Destruction for a little bit in a couple shows, but it was mainly Tom Meents in his own identity, and I'm really, really happy that he did that, and I'm also kind of really sad that the truck is not here anymore with us, but it did appear in an encore a couple years ago. Here is the next truck that I'm going to talk about. This is the Max D that Tom Meents drove throughout his 10th anniversary, a decade of destruction. This was a really, really nice looking truck. It was a totally new design, paint scheme for Tom Meents and his Max D truck. It was just insane to look at the 3D face that they added on the side, which is the creator of chaos, as Tom Meents calls it. It just looks incredible. I really, really like how this truck looks. I really like basically everything about it, man. This was the truck that, again, Tom Meents, he dominated no matter what, but I mean, this truck was just insane. I feel like this truck really just it's one of those trucks that really put him on the map and really led him to where he is today. Of course, not only did he have this version of Max D, of course he went on and on and on, switched the Max Ds around a little bit, and that's where he drove this truck all the way until the next World Finals, which of course in Tom Meents fashion, he went ahead and debuted this brand new Spectrochrome Max D, which he did actually run in competition and totaled he just destroyed this thing in freestyle. Really, really nice, very expensive. I think it was a $10,000 body. Like, just the body was $10,000, and it was just an insane looking truck. I feel like this was just one of the nicest, actually. I think the nicest looking Max D, and nicest looking truck that year in World Finals, and definitely a truck that no one will forget. And not only did they have that version, of course, I'm kind of rambling on, but they did have, once again, another version of Max D floating around that year, which it was in the pits, and this is what it looked like right now on screen. This is the Max D that Tom Meents did the first ever landed double backflip, where he successfully landed a double backflip ever. This was a really, really cool Max D. He did have a dump truck, a specific dump truck, painted with Max D. Decade of Destruction, you guys can see on the side panel with the Mosham logo on the back. The little Max D plates, or whatever you want to call them, on the side of the tires. It looked hilarious, but also really, really cool how Tom Meents had that truck up on there, and then right when the dump truck stopped at the end of the track, he just full throttled it off of there, and then of course went to the line, did the double backflip, and successfully landed it. That was definitely one of the most memorable nights for Tom Meents in his career back then. And then of course after that, he had to have a new Max D, which this is the Max D that he has had since then, up until today, of course. He's had this Max D, the normal version, as we like to call it, the silver or gray one, whatever you want to call it again. Max D. This truck is just, I don't know how to feel about it. It's a great looking truck, but so repetitive. They have not changed the truck in years. But of course, after they debuted this version, they had to have new colors. So this is one of the Max Ds that they had. They actually changed the whole thing up. They brought back the Maximum Destruction body and slapped on the Max D graphics and added a little bit of gold on top of it, of course. This was actually a pretty cool one. I like it. I like how the graphics are like black, and then like the whole truck is like gold, so it looks like a reflection. I don't know. It was really, really cool, actually. For some reason, it has that gray Max D flag, but okay. Yeah, but this one was really cool. It was driven by Colton Eichelberger, I believe, at least. Please don't go in the comments and say, okay, so yeah, please go in the comments and say, tell me who drove this. I'm not really too sure, but there's that one, and they had to have another gold Max D, actually. So this is the other Max D that they had, the normal Max D with gold. This one also looks really, really cool. Now, this is the one that Colton drove, actually, now that I see the flag. I believe, yeah, the Colton drove this Max D, which was also at World Finals. This was just such a cool-looking truck. Personally, I feel like this one was definitely better than the other Max D that they had that year as well. They had, I think, 3 different Max Ds. The one that Tom drove, which is the gray one, which is the normal one, I guess you can call it. this one, and they also had a third Max D, which that Max D was the red Max D, which this one is just incredible. I really like how this one looks. This Max D is definitely one of my favorite Max Ds, I would say. At least Spin Master didn't successfully make it. It looked kind of bad in the Spin Master form. But in real life, this thing is just insane. I've never seen it run. Again, I've never seen probably any of these except for Max D, the normal one, and Maximum Destruction run. But other than that, this is a phenomenal looking truck. I really wish that they would bring this back. But I'm pretty sure they will never do that. Now moving on to the next Max D that they ever had. This was the Black Max D, the Blackout Max D, as we like to call it. From World Finals 19 in 2018, the last ever World Finals in Sandboy Stadium. Tom Meents debuted this one in an encore, racing encore that is, and tried to do a forward momentum backflip or whatever it was, yeah, forward momentum backflip, and sadly, he didn't really fully fail. It just the ramp broke and he full sent it, and it was in the air. Then he basically crashed, and sadly, it kind of burnt to a crisp. So that's what happened with the Black Max D, and then after that, he did, of course, continue with this normal one. But not only did he have the normal one, but he also had this Fire Max D, which is the Fire Max D that he had for 2019 till 2020. And then, of course, he switched back to the normal one. And, yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. That is it for this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. More videos coming soon, and I'll see you all in the next video. This is Monster and Firestorm, signing out.